Halsey's new song is pretty good, I must say. I just kind of wanted to feel like I was talking to somebody tonight, and I'm just going to pretend that I am, as I have in other videos. I kind of wanted to clarify a few things regarding narcissism. Last night I came on because I felt compelled to, and truth is truth, and it is what it is. But the thing is that everybody's truth is different for them individually. So I do want to say that I have respect for that. Your truth is not mine, and mine is not yours. So we can start there. If anybody cares to look back on any of my old videos, that's fine, but I do want people to be well aware of the fact that that was a very much like a dark night of the soul kind of thing for me. I was coming into my own, and I was going through things, and I had to reprocess things, and that did help me. There have been things said kind of in the way of you shouldn't air that on here, but again, my personal truth and my personal path is to do that for myself and my kids, and it's a free country, so I'm gonna do that. I do have therapy that I go to every other Friday. I've been in therapy. It used to be weekly, and I have been in therapy for, oh my Lord, wow, a year and a half, so that's awesome. It was something that I really, really wanted to do for myself. I wanted to do it when I lived in Washington and I was a military spouse, but my husband at the time made me feel incredibly guilty for that. Again, he was a covert narcissist, so when I speak on certain individuals, I really do have a lot of experience in that area. But I'm not a therapist, so it's like you can take what I say with a grain of salt. But it's kind of the same way that, like in a factory, yeah, they're gonna hire somebody to be your coordinator, your director. That has a college degree. But sometimes, just sometimes, that little guy that's been there for 20 years, he gets in there. So that's kind of how I view myself in terms of psychology and different personalities and how to navigate life and how to navigate different life experiences, because I've had a vast number of them. But I'm also not going to reiterate them all that much. You can go back and listen to some stuff. I haven't gone into detail yet with those things, but when I do, those will be individual videos that I upload, and you can either watch them or not watch them. But again, I'm not a therapist. I'm just a person, and if you feel at home listening to stuff that I have to say, great. If you don't, then that's fine too. So, sorry, I keep switching positions. My arms get tired. I'm a fatty, and that's just what happens. Anyway, with narcissism, here's the thing, and I posted something about this on Twitter, which I can't stand Twitter for so many reasons, and one of them is because I can't navigate it. I'm just I am technically a millennial, but I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. When it comes to tech and apps and all that, I have no idea what I'm doing. I mean, there was a 40-year-old, I was out to dinner for my best friend's birthday, and there was a 40-year-old there, and she was like, do you have a Snapchat? And I was like, no, I don't. So anyway, I'm terrible with that, but I did post earlier about something, and I wanted to go over that because narcissists will use this as one of their tools to gaslight people, and it's a really important thing that you take note of as a person that's empathetic and you don't feel bad about it. So I just wanted to go over it briefly. And that is just the fact that narcissist, they want supply. And they will get it, and then they will discard the person. And this happens in romantic relationships, familial relationships. They will get their supply, they will discard you, like almost automatically. I feel like that's like a part of the cycle almost, because it's like directly after that, then the love bombing happens again. So you have to watch for that too. But what happens is they will bait you. Like they'll bait you first, and then you fall for it and you go into it and you give them supply, and then they discard you. So they might go no contact with you or completely ignore you. This is not the same thing as setting a healthy boundary. This is something that a narcissist does do. And that is not the same thing as an empathetic person setting a boundary. An empathetic person can set a boundary when they know that something is unhealthy for them. I am one that I have been in extensive therapy, and I actually successfully was able to talk down a rage rant of my ex-husband's the other night on the phone. And I feel like I've come a long way in terms of communicating with a narcissist. But at the same time, you have to let, what your point of view is be heard. Like, that's just, you have a right to have a voice. So, they might view that as getting supply, but you don't have to take it that way. You don't have to make yourself upset. You can speak your truth to them and then be done with it. That's perfectly fine. But one thing that I did see was that it was mentioned that a healthy boundary was set when it was actually a discarding. And this is something that they will tell you, like they will paint themselves as an empathetic person. And I'm not saying that they're not to any degree. Here's the shitty part about this. Every single one of us has a healthy amount of narcissism. It's part of our ego and it's part of our defenses. And every single person has a small amount of it. It takes a mass amount, and in some cases, ample portions of sociopathy and psychopathy to really call someone with NPD. But it's just something that I have come to be able to identify pretty well. And every single one of us has the ability and the God-given right to speak your own truth and defend yourself. I don't think that's narcissism, but we all do have a little bit of narcissism within us. It's just a part of like a defense thing, and you might see it come out as initially when someone is faced with something, instead of taking the blame or taking the shame of that upon themselves, they'll try to defend that and try to justify that. I think honestly every single person does that, including myself. And I have, within the last 6 months, stopped doing that. I just have stopped doing that. Just point blank. And I will give an example. My daughter has autism, and there are many nights where she keeps me up all night. And I cannot remember what the instance was. It might have been that we ran out of like her chocolate milk, or I'm not sure what the instance was. But anyway, something fell on my table that I was the fault at. And I could have been like, hey, I wasn't able to go to the store because I was tired, because, we were up all night. You remember, like, we were up all night. Like, no, I don't do that. And see, I even have to fight against the way that I was brought up, and not taking the blame for certain things. But I have stopped doing that in its entirety. And it's the most humbling, like, process to go through, to completely take blame upon yourself. And not many people do that. They usually shift the blame. And this just happens. Even in day-to-day parenting, love relationships, it just happens. Why didn't you place the clothes in the dryer? Oh, because I did this. Like, no, you just didn't place the clothes in the dryer, and you just say you're sorry and you move on. This is a really hard thing for any one human to do on a regular basis. And I do understand that. But what is true narcissism is when they defend themselves, and not only that, they are very evidently going after supply on a consistent basis. That's just really evident to me. So I guess the message I wanted to get across was that there is a difference between an empathetic person setting a healthy mental and spiritual boundary for themselves and a narcissist that gets supply and gets that drama and then shuts it down. That's called a discard. Like, when they're done with you, they're done with you. They don't need you. They know you're upset. They know that they have caused you to be upset. So they're done. Like, that's all they needed. And again, if that person happens to watch this, I really don't have anything personally against that person. I just don't. I just think that that person has some growth maybe to go through. And even me saying that, I truly feel that that person would take offense to that. And that is a part of, like, our individual narcissism, that you can either allow it to eat you up or you can accept it. Because even myself, like, I have no idea. I'm just now processing all these traumas that happened to me 15 years ago. And it's going very well. And I'm proud of myself. But you know what? I don't know everything. I don't know everything. If somebody was to be like, here's a better way to do this or this or this, I would be like, well, holy shit, let's try it. Let's see if it works, you know? But overall, it's not meant to, like, really offend anybody. It's just, I see certain people, I see their influence, and it's not just that person. There's so many people. I mean, it's every single day. You can just spot somebody at the store, like, no matter what it is, if they're yelling at their kid, like, and it just looks ridiculous, or I don't know, you see a spouse yelling at their spouse and it looks ridiculous, you can see a situation and you can almost feel the vibe of it, and you know when it's not right. That's all I'm trying to say. And that doesn't mean that that person is an evil person. That doesn't mean that there's not room for growth there. It's just, in that moment, that's not right. That's all I'm saying. So if somebody wants to go off on a tirade and call me nasty names and things like that, that's completely fine, because that just furthers my point. Like, you can either take a situation and grow from it or not. Like, I have plenty of situations where I can absolutely grow. Currently, I'm still working on not drinking alcohol as much. Like, I'm not a perfect person at all, like, by any means. I'm just here talking as a human and wanting to connect with humans, because that's, like, a difficult thing for me. And I also don't think that everybody on YouTube is a sick person or a mentally ill person. And there's nothing wrong with you if you are. I'm just saying, I think that's a very broad generalization to put on an entire platform, when that's not the case. And I think that YouTube is going to eventually be television. I think once more middle-aged people like myself realize that they have options in what they watch, documentary-wise, true crime-wise, drama-wise, thriller-wise, and they realize it's on YouTube, this is going to be the shit. This is going to be what blows up. And so currently, in the state that it's in, where we're focused on deplatforming certain individuals, that stuff needs to get taken care of. We need to get it taken care of and get it out of the way, because I think that YouTube could actually grow into something fantastic and huge. But not if we keep ripping each other apart. Like, people just keep, like, finding things to nitpick at each other. And no one person is a perfect person. No one person is a perfect person. That's just how it is. But in that same right, we all have every right to call each other out when we're not behaving in a kind manner as well. And you can either take the criticism or not take the criticism. That's up to you. But like I said, if somebody were to come up to me and say, you could do this and this and this and it would help you, I'd be like, hey, that's fucking awesome, thanks. Like, what's the big deal? But when somebody is saying, that nasty bitch over there, you know, like, I don't think that's helpful. Maybe it's just because I don't like the language that much, and I cuss like a sailor at times, depending on the company that I'm in. Usually it's on the basis of comedy. But I think it just depends on your candor, and I think we need to stop ripping each other apart. I think it's important. Lift each other up, help each other grow, and recognize what an empathic boundary setting is versus a narcissistic discard, and protect yourself from that. And if you have done that to someone, if you've ever done that to someone where you say blah 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 expecting a supply, be willing to apologize for that. That's it. Everybody has a little bit of a narc in them. It's just, are you going to give into it or are you not? So, to all my empaths, hello, I love you. And I guess I'll talk to you guys pretty soon. That was nice. I kind of felt like I was talking to somebody. Again, I'm a sad, sad loser. Sorry. I'll see you guys later.